Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Hank Sheinkopf is making his second appearance on the show. Now, let me preface this in two ways. First of all, Hank, you have forgotten more about politics in New York than I'll ever know. I admit that, okay? And also preface this by saying that Frank Carone is a dear friend. Frank, his brother Anthony, and his brother Joseph. But I was the guy calling out Eric Adams before anyone. Curtis, too, I guess. And I was angry with people like you, quite frankly, Hank, and Katz and the guys upstairs and Todd Shapiro and all these Eric Adams, Bill Ackman, these Eric Adams lovers. And I would say he has no chance. He's lost the Republican voter because I'm a real Republican. I knew he was just being nice to us because Trump saved him from prison. The Democrats want no part of him because now he's sucking up to Trump. For 3+ years, he seemed to care more about illegals and all that nonsense than Americans. His police department was a joke. He went through 4 commissioners. His whole administration almost went to prison. I mean, what are we talking about here? So he came alive the last year because Trump and Holman and Jessica Tisch saved his ass. And now he's running around town like he's Rudy Giuliani because the guy before him, de Blasio, was so bad. And this creep now may be the worst ever. But this idea that Eric Adams was a good mayor, I don't care what anybody tells me. Furthest thing from the truth. The furthest. And I believe now he's trying to get back in the game. I don't know. He's very busy these days. What am I missing, Hank?
Well, first, good morning, Sid, and thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're great.
I think that Adams is a historical figure, the second African American mayor.
I don't care about that. Please, I'm begging you. I don't care.
Hold on.
Please.
I think he got into trouble in the beginning, not because his color was black, because his color was blue. He's a cop. And the world around him was about cops, and that was his world. And I don't think you can differentiate.
Let me stop you again. He was a lousy cop. I know Bernard Kerrick is dead, okay? But Kerrick was on my show quite a bit. He said he caused more trouble in the police department than any amount of arrests he ever made. And by the way, he was black. Big deal. How many times did Eric Adams refer to people like me as crackers? How many times did he talk about his chocolate audience? Let's stop with the nonsense, okay? There was nothing historical about the guy. He had a chip on his shoulder about just about everybody, including the cops.
I know I've talked to a lot of people around the job during his period of time there. He was not well regarded. He wasn't well liked. The press saw him as a problem. That's all true. I'm going to talk about this from a historical perspective. The most corrupt administration since Jimmy Walker was the Ed Koch 3. So let's put that in some context, number one. Number two, Adams and the corruption side of his administration was due largely to cronyism. He hired the wrong people who were friends. A lot of them came out of the job. It was an unfortunate set of circumstances and terrible for the city at the time. Hopes were very high, and it didn't just pan out the way it should have. There was no way he could have been reelected. You know, I've been pretty fair in my comments about him and everybody else over the last 40 years. So I think that the opportunities lost by Eric Adams are overwhelming, unquestionably so, and a great disappointment ultimately when we look at the facts. But there is some good that comes out of the administration. He finally woke up in the last year and a half. I think a lot of that had to do with Randy Mastro, quite frankly.
Agreed.
We chose the deputy mayor. I think it had to do a lot with Jessica Tisch, and it's a good choice of her as the police commissioner. A lot of the other commissioner choices were just frankly lousy. But the
listen, hold on, not the first one, and he blew that. The truth is, and you know how close I am with Jessica. Keyshawn Sewell was terrific. She would have been great, but he blew that. He blew that.
She was terrific. I mean, I have a personal fondness for her, and think the world of her. And, you know, she was a great cop, well regarded, serious person, and was absolutely not used properly, and was undermined by people who were close to the mayor, unquestionably so. That's not the issue. Where are we right now is the issue. And the issue is we're in a terrible place with potential for a 75 like bankruptcy and politicians who have, just like they were in 75, who are clueless and refuse to accept the facts. Simple.
It really is that simple. And I'm trying to figure out, Hank, what he's done well. I see people, and I know New York One is a communist channel. You may like it, but Errol Lewis is a bad guy, and it's a communist channel. And they have people on all the time saying, what a great job this guy is doing. Now, yeah, child care is important. I've got 2 kids. So let's give him a decent grade on what he's trying to accomplish for child care. Outside of that, should I list the 25 things he's done a terrible job with? Again, I'll ask the same question like I did about Eric Adams. What am I missing?
Well, here's what you're missing, and you're a very smart guy. So you're not missing programs and policy. What you're missing is behavior. He is a brilliant propagandist. He has hired people who are very competent at doing that and who are very loyal to him. He has a brilliant smile. He is the creator of a social movement, not of a political operation, that will likely sweep portions of this country over the next few years, doing no good for an awful lot of people. And the things that he's talked about that he's done are largely undone. The idea of a $30 million expenditure to create a public grocery is ridiculous because it'll drive a lot of decent people out of work and out of their businesses and out of their jobs. And the chambers of commerce throughout the city are organizing against him.
Not only that, but it's not $30 million. It turns out it's $30 million for one. It's more like $120 million.
No question. No argument here. No argument here. The idea of not funding pensions for municipal employees is among the most dangerous things we've heard in a long time. Why? Because it could result in a 75-like disaster when the due bill comes. The backing off on his rhetoric, his anti-police rhetoric, is all well and good, but not having a reception around the time of the Puerto Rican Day Parade is a way of telling you, and also not surprising about the Israel Day Parade, because his entire life has been about anti-Israel activity and the belief in the destruction of the Jewish state. So, and he learned that from his parents. So there's nothing new there.
No, but I'm glad you brought up the Puerto Rico thing, because Ruben Diaz Jr. actually tweeted something yesterday, and he included me in the tweet. The Puerto Rican community is really pissed.
Well, but that's not important to him, because the real objective of any significant social movement is to reduce the number of potential enemies in a particular area of population, so that you can organize in a way that creates a larger and more compact movement with greater intensity and force that will then do exactly what the leader wants. This is a national problem that will undermine this country over time. The election of DSA candidates throughout the country is his desire. There is no other desire, and to make him the leader of that movement. He will undermine candidates, which they're already doing, and lie to them, which he's already done, to undermine endorsements and other behaviors. And let's see how well he does in June. If Brad Lander is likely to win and beat Goldman in that congressional race, that's one.
Yuck.
But let's see how he does with Espaillat's opponent, who's a stone-cold Jew-hater, anti-Semite, and bigot against white people also. And there are other races at the lower level. Smart thinkers would say, if we want to stop the DSA, we have to choke it off at its roots. How so? Don't let them get into Democratic Party candidacies, because they're not Democrats, number one. Number two, choke them off by choking off the next generation. Win the races at the most local level so there won't be a next generation. Absent that, we will see the creation of a movement that is unstoppable with this guy, who's now the mayor of the city of New York, as his leader. And the potential for disaster in this country, as we know it today, is extraordinary.
Oh, God. It's not gone for the Knicks. But you're right. I mean, we've seen in New Jersey a couple of months ago, that lady, anti-Semite, she won yesterday, Hamawi. He's a terrible guy. This guy was on the defense team for a 1993 World Trade Center bomber. I mean,
a guy whose people threatened to kill the federal judge, who was brave, Michael Mukasey, who sat on that case and put his family's life at risk and had to be guarded by U.S. Marshals for an extended period of time, who later went on to become the Attorney General of the United States. Everything is really topsy-turvy, and this country is going through an internal revolution. The question is, will there be enough time to straighten it out? Is there balance? We have a generation of people led by a Mamdani who have never paid a price, never borne a burden, have never had a tough day, don't understand, have never put a callus on their hands, have never served anyone or anything, are the most overeducated generation, the most housed generation, yes, at higher cost, the people who fed more free, who have had meals and eaten more regularly than any generation of mankind, and who stand to get the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of humanity over the next 20 years. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, no. Final 60 seconds. Oh, I got to ask you about the future for this guy. You're great, by the way, Hank. You really are. I love the fact you come on this show. Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you for having
You're
me
welcome. Here. Final 60 seconds. He's already planning for his re-election. He's not even in office for 6 months. But he's so confident and so cocky that he's already looking forward to winning again. And I've heard Jessica Tisch, she may run. I'm not going to tell you what she said to me, but she may run. If Jessica Tisch runs, she got a shot.
Tough race for her.
Yeah.
Tough race.
Yeah. So what can the Republicans do? If you're Ed Cox right now and this group in New York, you should be losing sleep already, right?
Ed Cox is a very decent man. It's time for him to resign and put some younger people in those positions to create a real Republican Party. If you consider that Republicans had the state senator, the state assemblyman, the councilman, and the congressman on the Upper East Side 30 years ago, and what they have in Manhattan, New York County alone is nothing. You have to rebuild something, and you have to organize, and you've got to get younger people in there with tremendous amounts of energy, recreate the Liberal Party in some fashion or some other party that can be substantially related to Republicans and Democrats and endorse and organize around people so that the Trump problem, which is extraordinarily significant in New York City, can be overcome. It's just, you got to do these things. If they don't, we're going to continue to have this. And you got to organize the Chinese and understand the nature of the changing politics and changing demographics of New York City. The Asians are going to be very significant, and they will be in battle with the Mamdanis because everything they stand for in the American dream is counter to what Mamdani and his people who don't believe in free enterprise, don't believe in the acquisition and control of housing in any way, shape, or form, don't believe in the things that made this upcoming generation of African Americans and others who were able to build lives and some wealth out of civil service and out of investing in smaller properties and smaller businesses. They don't believe in any of that.
Super job. Yep, you're right. No, you're right. They don't. Hank, you got to keep talking, man. I don't know. Keep coming on this show and with John and Rita and wherever you are. Just keep talking. You're very valuable to us here in New York City. You tell the truth and you know what the hell you're talking about. So thank you for hopping on today. Another great appearance, Hank. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid. All the best.
God bless you. I love this guy. I love Hank Sheinkopf. He's a smart guy. He really does know the candidates. He knows the history. And he's a very important voice in the city. Kind of gutsy there. I'm friendly with Ed Cox. I like Ed a lot. I just saw him in Rockland County a couple of weeks ago. He said he's a wonderful man, but it's time to resign. That's a big statement from Hank Sheinkopf.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?